It was a normal day at the bustling airport. The air was thick with the sound of rolling luggage and murmured conversations as passengers hurried through the security line. Amid the crowd, a young black boy stood nervously, his hands clenched at his sides. His hoodie hung loosely, the oversized fabric making him look smaller than he actually was. He had been traveling with his mother, but today she wasn't there. He was alone, waiting for a flight to join his father, who worked long hours in another city. The line moved slowly as the boy took small, unsure steps. It was then that he caught the attention of a woman in a crisp pilot's uniform. Her face was stern, her eyes cold with impatience as she observed the young boy. "Hey!" the pilot called out, her voice cutting through the noise. "What are you doing here? You need to move along." The boy froze, taken aback by the sudden confrontation. He hadn't done anything wrong. He was just waiting like everyone else. "Move along," the pilot repeated, her voice louder, now with authority. She had seen too many young people loitering around, and today her patience had run thin. "Get out of my way, kid." Feeling a flush of humiliation spread across his face, the boy opened his mouth to speak, but words caught in his throat. He didn't want trouble. Not today, of all days. But before he could turn and walk away, the woman raised her voice even further, calling for security. "This kid is causing trouble," she declared, nodding toward the boy. "He's not supposed to be here." The boy's heart sank, the sting of shame heavy in his chest. He could feel eyes around him, people glancing over at the scene unfolding, whispering under their breath. He wanted to disappear, to vanish from the prying eyes of strangers. But just as he was about to take a step back, a new voice broke through the tension. "Excuse me, what's going on here?" The voice was calm, authoritative. A man dressed in a sharp suit appeared, walking toward the crowd. He looked like someone important. His dark eyes met the pilot's, and then he turned his gaze to the boy. The air around them shifted. The pilot's harsh expression faltered as she looked the man over. He wasn't just another business traveler. There was something about him, his stance, the way he carried himself, the sharpness of his suit. And then it clicked. He was the FAA Administrator. The realization hit the pilot like a thunderclap, her face drained of color, her mouth going dry. She had just called for the police on a young boy who was, in fact, the son of one of the most important figures in aviation. And now the very man who held the power to shape the future of airports and air travel was standing right in front of her, watching her every move. The boy's father stepped forward, his hand resting gently on his son's shoulder. "Is there a problem here?" he asked, his voice cool but filled with authority. The pilot stammered, a deep sense of regret flooding her. I, I, I didn't realize. I thought he was—" The man cut her off, his gaze unwavering. "You thought he was what? A troublemaker? I've been standing here watching you humiliate my son in front of everyone. You made a snap judgment based on his appearance, didn't you?" The pilot tried to speak, but found herself at a loss for words. The crowd around them had gone silent, all eyes fixed on the exchange. The weight of the moment hung heavy in the air. The boy's father continued, his voice growing firmer. "My son has done nothing wrong. He was just waiting like every other passenger. But you, with your assumptions, decided to treat him like he was less than—" The pilot's face flushed with shame. She hadn't realized how deeply her words had hurt. She hadn't taken the time to see the boy for who he truly was. He wasn't a nuisance. He wasn't a threat. He was a child, just like any other, deserving of respect. I'm so sorry," the pilot murmured, her voice shaking. "I made a mistake. I shouldn't have said those things." The boy's father nodded slowly, his gaze softening as he turned to his son, pulling him into a protective embrace. "It's okay," he said gently. "We all make mistakes, but it's how we correct them that counts." The pilot stood there silent, her eyes cast downward. She had made a mistake, one she would never forget. Not because of the consequences she faced, but because she had failed to see the humanity in the boy before her. She had allowed her own biases to cloud her judgment, and in doing so, she had hurt someone who hadn't deserved it. The boy, for his part, stood still, his heart still racing, but a sense of peace slowly returned to him. His father had come, and that was all that mattered. The world may have tried to break him down with its prejudices, but in that moment, his father showed him that no one could define his worth but himself. As they turned to walk away, the father's arm around his son's shoulders, the pilot stood frozen in place, the weight of the moment settling deep within her. It was a lesson she would never forget, a lesson in seeing, truly seeing, the person before you, beyond the surface. For the boy, it was a moment that reminded him that no matter what the world threw his way, he was worthy of respect, and no one could take that away.